Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's been a couple of months now with the Range Rover, and fortunately or unfortunately, depending on which side of the comments you're on, nothing's happened to the Range Rover. It just works. So those of you who are like, yeah, drive it, love it, it's going to be great, just maintain it. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your support. And yes, you're absolutely right. It was a little bit of an adventure to get up here today. It was nothing too crazy. It is actually pretty simple, pretty traily. But it was fun just to be able to put it through the off-road modes. One of the neat things that I noticed is when you're in the off-road modes and here on the center console where your speedometer is, along with the tach, if you have a Range Rover, you'll know this. That's where your center diff and your rear diff show a big graphic, and as they lock or unlock as needed, you can kind of watch it real time. That was very entertaining for me. I'm a pretty simple kind of guy. But yeah, that was neat to watch because some of the sections were a little tight. I probably got some beauty marks on the outside just from branches and stuff. You guys are going to see all this in the videos coming up. I'm filming this in reverse, so I already filmed the drive up here where there's the trails. And so now that I'm up here at the top, I thought I'd at least shoot a little bit of a update on how things are going. Sadly or fortunately, nothing to report. But meanwhile, while we're here, you know, it's nice to just take in the view, get out of the city for a bit. I don't know how many of you actually use your Range Rovers off-road. I know a lot of people, sadly, it doesn't matter if you got a G-Wagon, a full fat Range, a Discovery, a Defender, 200 series Land Cruiser, the Lexus LX 570. What else is remotely on-road worthy here? Well, we can go to the real off-road worthy ones. Jeep Wranglers, Ford Broncos. You know, it's crazy. There's just not many vehicles left that can actually go off-road. They're all made just for on-road. And I know that because it's exactly what I had before this. The crossover special. They're absolutely amazing on the road. Don't get me wrong, like, fantastic. My little crossover was better than just about all of the sports cars that I've ever personally owned, and could hang with most of the sports cars that I've ever been around. So it's getting hard to find these, and that's why I really think, you know, like myself, I always just had that little thing like, man, I really wish I had a V8. I wish it was forced induction. And I've watched, as you have over the last 5 to 10 years, how they've just disappeared. You know, even Toyota, they were known for their legendary reliable V8s. Gone. Now it's the Turbo 6s, right? You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Range Rover, I believe they're down to the forced induction 6s on these now. So the point is like, if you really want a V8, I think now's the time that you have to pull the trigger. If you really want to get one that isn't going to end up being all beat up, way too many miles on it or kilometers, you know, that's why I got this. I'm like, I have to have one before they're gone, before it's too late. So, as you all know, if you've been here before, the supercharged V8 is in this, the 5 liter. Man, it's just beautiful. I never realized what a big difference it makes having a supercharged V8. In this, I find it holds a gear when I'm expecting it to shift. Like, I'm expecting a downshift because there's a lot of steep hills coming up here, even some on pavement sections. So I can't say, well, I was off-road and it was hunting around trying to find traction. No, there's some pavement sections, and it'll just hold the gear and lug up. Just lug, 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 lug. It's fantastic. Driving around the city as an update, I find that 2,000 to 2,500 RPM is kind of the maximum RPM range if I'm just driving around in normal traffic. And it takes some effort if you want to get it up to 5,000-6,000 RPM. The engine's just that powerful. So I digress. Getting up here, there's kind of two sections of trails. I'll be doing a voiceover for the entire thing and throwing in some music because you probably don't want to listen to me talk for the entire time that I'm driving off-road. And it is slow, so I'm not bombing that fast. It's kind of like 40 kilometers an hour to 20 kilometers an hour. I don't mind driving fast if the truck feels like it wants to do it. But if the truck's really kind of getting banged hard, then I'm going to slow down. I don't mind taking them anywhere, but I know well enough when to press on them and when to ease off on them. I did buy this so it would last. I'm going to use it everywhere. I'll take it everywhere. But a little common sense goes a long way, as they say. So with that, stick around. I hope you enjoyed the footage. I'll have more commentary coming up. And thanks for coming back. If you want to help me out, please like and subscribe. Those who have already subscribed, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You guys are the best. And let's go. Okay, so starting off here, there's a couple quick little bridges I wanted to show you. We just don't see bridges like this very often anymore. This was the bigger of the two, as in wider. On the next one, you're going to see it in a second. I couldn't believe I fit. On this left turn, the articulation needed to make this corner was actually pretty crazy. It doesn't transfer in the video. But the Range Rover didn't even lift a wheel. I've lifted a wheel on that corner in many vehicles, so I was pretty impressed. And then coming up here, I think we transfer, to dirt right there. There's some decent little bumps in here, moving at a decent speed. Okay, here's the bridge. I didn't think I was going to fit. That's the beauty of the Range Rover. For me, it's not too big, it's not too small, it's just right. Here we just kind of clip along. You can see these are roads or trails, whatever you want to call them. It's fine. You can see those holes even on the inability for it to transfer through on the camera. But you can see this is not smooth pavement. There are some craters. Now imagine driving this when it's just pouring rain. Here we are, one of the entries to the trailhead. So this is a pretty steep hill right here. And it's all loose rock, loose dirt, some silt. One thing about the Range Rover that really surprised me is it never slips for traction. Keep in mind, I'm running the Toyos 21s, which are basically a performance radial. And I'm not running an all-terrain tire or an MT, something aggressive that's actually made for the trail. This is a pure street tire. a performance street tire. And at no time does it slip, try to bite, search for traction. It's always just locked in. And the four-wheel drive system on the Range Rover, I have to say it's blown me away. It is really impressive. You know, if I can go out on these trails with just basically street slicks and never ever be like, oh, I just slipped right there. Whoops. Kind of lost traction on that corner. No, it's always just locked in, perfectly grabbing. And if you have a Range Rover, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't driven a Range Rover, then it's really hard to describe it to you, because this is something that shouldn't be happening, but it is. So here's kind of a flatter spot. It's all of this is still going uphill. It's just not that steep. Now we hit a pretty good hill with in reality, a tricky little right, because it is kind of banked pretty good. But again, just no problem. Range Rover just goes straight up it. There's some decent holes, some decent sized rocks. And then we come to this left. I saw that rock. I think I put it underneath the tires. Yeah, just saw the front end come up there. Here you can see it's pretty tight. I probably got a little bit of pinstriping through there. I know most people with a Range Rover L405 or newer probably aren't going to go do this stuff. If you do, good on you. I applaud you. That's fantastic. For me, I believe use them for what they're made for. So as we're doing this whole is it reliable over the term that I have this vehicle, I wanted everybody to be able to see exactly what I put these through. These do not sit in the garage, go to the spa to get washed, put on all your fancy waxes and ceramic coatings and everything else. Shortly, I will take a shot at detailing this myself. It's something I always wanted to try. I'm not one to really go pay somebody else to do it if I think I could do it myself. So having never buffed a car before, I figured the Range Rover would be a perfect spot to try it out. Now here, there was a lot of loose rock. And again, the traction's second to none. I've been up here in the Wrangler many times, and I have to put it into four-wheel drive in certain spots. Keep in mind that thing's on 37-inch tires, 2.5-inch lift, custom suspension, and it shouldn't have problems. But even in four-wheel drive, you will feel a tire that skips a beat or slips. It never loses traction. Okay, let's be honest. It's in four-wheel drive. You got all four wheels going. You know, this isn't lockers are needed. Absolutely not. But you can feel when tires slip. And in the Range, you just don't feel that. It's the weirdest thing for me. Now, speaking of lockers, I mentioned before, it was really fun for me driving up, especially in this section, because it was all uphill, lots of loose rocks. On the center screen where the speedometer is, you can watch as your center differential and rear differential lock and unlock. I hadn't seen that before. Maybe I was in vehicles that had it and I just wasn't playing around with it enough. I'm not saying that this is only a Range Rover thing. I'm sure many vehicles have it. If you know of some, feel free to let me know in the comments. Just for my own knowledge, I'd love to know. but just seeing them lock and unlock, like I believe in this section, both the center and the rear were locked. And then there's also circles that go around them. I'm not sure what that's for. If you guys know, when a differential's locked, you'll see the circle around it kind of goes by thirds or quarters, and you'll see a white bar light up, and it will increase. And I believe, as a guess, is that's how much pressure is being put on the system and how hard it's trying to lock down. I don't know. I'd love to know. So if you guys know, please tell me. Here we're just clipping along, pretty flat. But you can see there's a pretty good hill coming up here. And I'm going to cut out and skip to some music because this is more of the same, deep ruts. It's pretty cool to see some of the scenery around here. Well, I guess not scenery, the trail. But I'm going to cut to some music and I'll jump back in later when we get to stuff that's a little... It reminded me of something that I thought was hilarious and unexpected that happened while I was out. So I go up the hill. It's a pretty good one. I believe it cuts off to the left here. And when I'd finally gotten up there, I kind of pull over a little later in this video. And I was like, all right, I need 2 minutes to myself, just kind of chill. I didn't realize that this trip was taking around 3 hours. So I had a couple snacks with me, and earlier I chucked Snickers candy bar, chocolate bar into the fridge with a drink, a tea that I had. And so I went, and this is probably an hour and a half, 2 hours into driving around, and I grabbed the chocolate bar, the half of it that I didn't eat, and went to take a bite of it, and it was solid. Like I couldn't bite through it. And my first impression is like, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able to get into this thing. Like, this might be a rock. And so I kept trying a little more pressure, finally got through it. But it shocked me how cold that fridge is that's in the center console. A lot of vehicles say they have a fridge in the center console and stuff like that. Most of them just use air from the air conditioner that blows in cold air to the refrigerator unit, or their so-called refrigerator unit. And it does keep a drink cool, right? I've never put a chocolate bar into a center console fridge and had it so cold that I couldn't bite through it instantly. This one, it took some effort. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. I literally, on first attempt, didn't think I was going to be able to have my snack. Fortunately, a little perseverance, and I finally got into it and ate it. And a couple minutes in the air, it finally softened up a little bit. Enough that I didn't think I was going to break a tooth trying to eat half a Snickers bar. But that reminded me, one of the big differences between a Range Rover and other vehicles is everything's just better. Nobody has a fridge that cold. Who would need a fridge that's that cold? Well, Range Rover thought we did. So that was pretty neat. Another thing is, so as we're going up, right? Eventually you got to come down. And on the way down, I was using the hill descent assist, which I absolutely love on the Range Rover. So it'll allow you to engage it from 15 kilometers an hour to 40 kilometers an hour. And with the controls on the steering wheel, it's just up and down arrows on the right-hand side. You can just manually control as you're going how fast or slow you want to be. It's a lot of steep downhills on this with loose rock. And so it's nice just to be for prolonged periods of steep downhills, no feet on the pedals, just using the buttons on the steering wheel like a joystick to be able to accelerate and decelerate as you wish. If it's a docile section like this one here, you can crank it up to 40 kilometers an hour and just let the truck slow you down when it hits 40. For some of the technical situations that you're going to see later in this, you'll see that I've slowed it down a lot, but that's not with my feet on the brake pedal. That's just using the controls on the steering wheel and that downhill assist. So, amazing feature. I've actually caught myself engaging it on the road. On the backside of my residential, there's actually a super steep hill and it's pretty long. And so I've actually cheated and just hit that button for the downhill assist. And instead of me sitting there with my foot on the brake pedal for the entire thing, press the button and off we go. It's pretty neat. If it didn't work as well as it does, I definitely would not use it at all. I've tried other ones and they're just fidgety or clunky. This one, it's just too easy. It's very smooth. It's got a great transition. The only thing I'd say is if you're going to touch the brakes while it's active, be ready because it's really going to bite. It gets super sensitive. This was when I was eating the chocolate bar and pulled over to eat it and just starting out again to continue on. So all of this is going to be with the downhill assist button on. It's already activated. And, how good is it just to be able to sit there and press a couple buttons instead of jamming your foot on a brake pedal for what was it, probably 30 minutes? Like, that's a lot of braking. I think the system does it better than the brake pedal does. I don't know if it keeps it cooler or not. Maybe one of you know. It's something I was curious about today. Like, which is more efficient? Using the downhill assist button or actually just keeping your foot on the brake pedal? So if you guys know, I'd love to know. And for now, we're going to cut back to some music and I'll be back later. just to give you an idea, see the mountain in front of us, or a hill, depends where you live, if that's a mountain or a hill. Elevation wise, we started just below that from the top of this one that we're on, and it's going to dump out in the bottom of the valley. So all this is pretty steep. Here, see those branches? There's some pinstriping. This is a nasty little right. Again, loose rock. It's pretty tight. All of this just, still riding the downhill descent control. Super fun. What a great day. Absolutely had a blast. I really got to do this stuff more often. It was kind of why I wanted to switch it up to the Range Rover. It's always my intention, if I was getting a Range Rover, to use it what it was made for, and that was go anywhere, do anything. Yes, it's not going to go as fast as the Wrangler, because I will beat that Wrangler 6 ways from Sunday. It's kind of what it was built for. It's built to be abused. I'm not going to abuse the Range Rover like that. The Range Rover would see more abuse on the street because it can actually corner and has wicked acceleration and super brakes, whereas the Jeep's just kind of like bang around, smash into whatever. The Jeep's fun, but you just can't compare the two. Definitely on a daily basis. Like, the Range Rover is the best at everything. The Jeep is, fun in its own way. It's special is about the best way I can describe the Jeep. It's special. And it has a special place in my heart. Don't get me wrong. I love the Jeep. It just, I just did a 6-hour round trip highway drive out to the coast and back with my wife over the weekend, and it was the best drive we've ever had in any vehicle in 26 years. So that's how amazing the Range Rover is. And I think we're getting close to the end here. Oh, this was tricky. So you got that right, you got ditch on the right, but then right there before that log, and then on the left, both sides of the road have clashed out. If you guys have made it this far, thank you so much for sticking around. If you like these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And I hope to see you again soon. Take care for now. Thanks.